Hey, welcome back to another Redstone video. We're going to be going over item sorters, hopper filters, and delivery methods. Let's get right into it. Let's go over how single item sorting works. This is your standard circuit that is very popular in Minecraft. This is two slices that are tiled together, and I'll show you how one of these slices work. We have a hopper filter here. This is faced sideways. Look at the nozzle and look at the arrow. It's faced into the comparator. The comparator reads the contents of this hopper filter here. We have a couple redstone coming out. This will soft power eventually. This will soft power this block, which will power this repeater. We'll turn off this torch, which will unpower this block, which will unpower or unlock this hopper right here. This will allow items to flow from this hopper down into this chest. Now, there are two ways to configure these hoppers. We're going to be going over this way first, where we have our sorted item here and then one item in each of these slots. Next, we'll be going over how we do it like this, where we have 41 items here, one item here, and one item in the rest of these slots. So this is your basic configuration for this one. This is your basic configuration for this one. The pro for this is we're gonna have what's called overflow protection. That means when this is full, which we're simulating right now, actually we're not even simulating, this actually is full. This slice is completely full. We have what's called overflow protection. This output is 3. 1, 2, 3. Notice that the signal is not bleeding over into this slice right here, because if it was, this would be emptying out for absolutely no reason. The con to this is we have to have 41 items in here at all times. So it's going to hang on to 41 of these items and everything else will go down into this chest. So this is a good setup for your farms where you have like an abundance of materials such as a cobblestone generator or maybe some crop farms, sugarcane, what have you, where things are infinite, so to speak. This is a good setup. So there's a con. There's also a pro. We're not bleeding over into other people's chunks. The other way to set this up is by this method. You have 41 items here, and then 1, 1, 1, and then you have your filtered item right here in this slot, right here. The pro for this is if you have rare items, you only need one item in here, such as netherite ingots or something like that. You have one item in here that needs to be there, and only caches one item. The bad side is if this gets full, for demoing here, we have a signal strength of huge. It is 5. It'll bleed over into other tiled slices. So if we were to have another slice here, like so, yeah, that repeater is going to get powered, which means the rest of the slice would be affected by it. It's not good. So just be careful with that information. If you need to, I would recommend actually keeping these separate, kind of like there's a gap between these two. I would put a gap between all of these in this configuration. That way you don't run into any overflow issues. I have this set up similarly here. We have the non-overflow protection one next to the ones that have overflow protection. If you have them tiled like this, as you see here, this is a signal strength of 3. If it was 3 down here, you'd have 2 and then 1, which means these both would be affected. We don't like that. So yeah, just be careful with that. It's not to say that either one is better than the other. Just know what effects come from using either item filter. Now let's go for delivery methods. Our delivery methods here is a hopper chain. When we put items in here, this will be going to the chests. How hoppers work in Minecraft is items will go across, but they'll try to go down before they go across. So what happens is hoppers will try to pull before they push. So each time a hopper tries to push or pull, here's what happens. This tries to pull down before this one tries to push across. This one tries to pull down before this one tries to push across. Same thing all the way down the line. And that's how our hopper filters work. We have barrels coming across. Now they can't go down to this one, so that it won't. So it'll go across, and since this one can pull it down into there, it will pull from this hopper down into here before it gets pushed across. And that's essentially how the hoppers work. That's one delivery method. Now these filler items right here, you can use, right here we're using redstone dust, but it's recommended that you use a filler. You can create a filler by taking any stackable item to 64 and naming it something else. So something else. Easy as that. This one needs to be something like that, so something else. Boom. Just make sure this is not an item you're going to be dumping into the storage. I'm going to show you what happens when you do. So if you dump a couple items into there, here's what happens. Those will get pulled down into here, and you'll start to get a stronger redstone signal than you need. Because if this item gets full, after having so many of these something else's in here, you're going to have a signal strength of 5 here, and you have the same problem that you have with this one right here. It's going to start bleeding over. It's going to start messing with these hopper filters. You don't want that. So be careful. Make sure you have your something else right here, and make sure you don't dump your something else into this chest up here for sorting. Likewise, don't dump it over here. Don't dump it anywhere to where it's going to get sorted Otherwise it'll mess up your filters. This one's pretty crazy. We use ice to transfer items. So works really good in the nether. I'm gonna show you my hopper filters are set up the same way. We have barrels, chests, and netherite ingots. What we do here is we dump a couple items here, and we can push those across the ice with our bounty block, our slime block. Now over here, here's what happens. This gets aligned when it gets pushed towards me. You see the hitbox? The hitbox is actually hovering over the ice and will be hovering over the hoppers at the same time. So when we press this button, they'll get sucked up by those hoppers. Now the pro to this is that if you have all your hopper filters set up and you have a bunch of them, you can push a lot of items across and just about everything will get picked up. The downside is you need a lot of hopper filters set up. We use this method on our SMP for our guardian farm to gather a lot of materials, and we can handle about 90% of the materials that come out of our guardian farm. The rest of it just gets pushed across and ends up in a fire and gets destroyed. We don't have any lag. I guess one more downside to this is these hoppers are constantly open. So on Java Edition, this is going to be a problem. So what I recommend doing is something like this. So put some buttons over here because mobs can spawn on ice. Put some buttons on here like this. So when you have your items fly across, mobs won't be able to spawn up here and pick up items. Likewise, at some point, if you're going to stay in the area and to prevent some lag, you can always light up those redstone to lock these hoppers. That way, at least in Java Edition, you don't have the lag from these. That's not to say that this wouldn't prevent lag in Bedrock Edition. It's just that open hoppers don't cause as much lag in Bedrock Edition. But if you're worried about server lag, every little bit helps. So you can always lock these hoppers and then unlock them when you need them to pick up items. All right, this is the last method we use on our server. And here's how this works. We have our items in here. We have a little hopper clock going. And this kind of works similarly to this way, where we align items that will go over the hoppers and the ice by using a chest to align it. We could use honey in place of the chest. It would still have the same effect. And we use some sort of solid block that's not, where water's not going to break it, such as you can use glass panes, you can use iron bars. You can just continue to use honey if you wanted to, all the way down here. So this sorting system works similarly to this one over here, where items get aligned, where they pass over the hoppers and the ice at the same time. One of the downsides to this is depending on how things get dispensed and how they're flowing through the water, you may have an item that bypasses the hopper and flies off the edge. My recommendation for that is to loop this back around to where it'll end up at the beginning and can make another pass to get put into the hopper. So I do think this method does work faster than the hopper chain. So if you can afford to use, and it's a little bit less expensive, you're not using as many hoppers. The downside to this is, again, you have a bunch of open hoppers here, and it's hard to lock these to help prevent lag. But hopefully you have something like this in an area that once you're done, it becomes unloaded. You don't have to worry about it. So these are not all the different ways to do sorting, but these are the common ones we use on our SMP. I thought I'd share them with you. Comment below which one's your favorite and which ones you use in your world. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments also. Until next time, happy Minecrafting, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.